Hi guys, it's Rachel here from Tiramar Farms again. I'm back at my fireplace to have another little chat, but this time there's no fire because it's 60 something degrees here even though it's December, which is pretty typical for Tennessee. That's typical Tennessee weather. We're hot and we get cold and then we get hot again. But I wanted to just talk about something I've been thinking about that's been on my mind ever since a couple days ago. So when you start homesteading, you're going to have a lot of questions. And even when you've been homesteading for a while, you're still going to have a lot of questions because you're never going to stop learning. It's just a continuation of learning and building new skills and developing new experiences and figuring out better ways to do things just constantly from the get-go. And even before you officially get started, you're going to be doing, or you should be doing at least, lots of research and asking questions and learning. And there's going to be a lot of information, and there are going to be a lot of answers. And some of that information and some of those answers are going to be good. Some of them are going to be correct, and some of them may not be so much, or some of them may be in the middle where it really works well for this one person's situation, but they're like out in Montana and you're in Florida and it's a totally different environment, so it doesn't work as well for you. So as you're asking those questions and you're reading online different things, or you're asking people in person, whatever you're learning, don't be afraid to ask the question, why? And I thought about this recently because I had asked a question on an online forum. And I won't get into what the question was or whatever, but I asked the question and someone, like the first answer I got was just, no, that's not good, don't do that. Okay, so my next question was basically, well, why not? And it's not to be a smart aleck, but when you're giving somebody an answer like that, or when you're getting an answer like that, you do need to know the why behind it. What experiences have you had that have taught you that this doesn't work or does work? What have you read that has taught you that it does or doesn't work? What examples or experiences or evidence do you have that support the answer that you're giving me? Because if it's just something that Jim Bob down the road told you last year and you were just like, okay, yeah, I'll go with that, and you never went any further with it, or you never got any reason from him as to why, then it may not actually be completely accurate. And I'll let you know, sometimes people will get kind of a little, not really angry, but just kind of irritated when you push the matter and you press them and ask them, okay, I get your answer here is no or yes, or do this or do that or whatever. Now can you tell me why that is? I want some information that makes sense. I want some valid arguments as to why that is the way that it is so that I can understand. They may get a little bit irritated, and if they do, it's probably because they don't know a good answer. Or maybe they do know and they just figured that they're so experienced that you should automatically just take what they're saying as gospel truth and not, ask them further why. And in some cases, it may be a person that you know and you really do respect and understand that they do have that knowledge, and you can say, okay, I got it, but you still should ask why, because that's the only way you're really going to develop more understanding. You need to know why it is that something will or won't work. That's so much more valuable than just taking the answer and going with it and not understanding why it is that way. So don't be afraid to ask people, anyone who's giving you any kind of advice, don't be afraid to ask them why. Because I guarantee you, if they really do have the experience or the knowledge or what have you to be giving you that answer, then they will be more than willing to give an explanation. And if they don't want to give you an explanation, then maybe you should look a little bit further to find somebody else or some other resource that's willing to tell you, yeah, that doesn't really work, and here's why, I tried it and this happened, or I did some research about that earlier and this is what I found out, and so we didn't do it. So it's okay to ask those questions. And if you're on the other end and you're giving advice to someone, because eventually when you've been homesteading a little while, and you'll be surprised how quickly people will start to ask you questions about it when they see what you're doing and they're interested in it and they haven't done it yet, or they've been doing something different, but then they're seeing you're doing something. You'll be really surprised how quickly people will start asking you. So when you're giving out your answers to people, and people are coming to you and saying, hey, what do you do with this? Why do you wash your eggs that way? Why do you feed your goats this food and not that food? Be prepared with an answer. And it's okay if you don't really have, a whole scientific article written up of, okay, here's the reason. But just understand that when you're telling people things, telling them the full story, telling them why something works or doesn't work or should be done or shouldn't be done, what is the reasoning behind it, that's going to be helping them a lot more in the long run than just telling them no. And so in my situation, when I asked that question and they just told me, literally, it was like, no, that's not good. That was the answer. I pressed it. I said, well, why not? Because, looking at it from my perspective with the knowledge that I have and understanding you do have more experience in this area than me, which is why I'm asking, but this is how I'm seeing it, and your answer isn't fully answering the question for me. You're just telling me right now your opinion. So I'm getting your answer and I'm understanding your opinion, but I don't understand the reason. And I really want to know the reason before I make a educated decision. That's really the best way to do it when you're learning new things, is understand the reason why that something is the way that it is. And after pressing a little bit, that particular person never did answer me back. She never told me her reasoning. It was just that there could be repercussions. That's all she said, was that there could be repercussions. Well, there could be repercussions from anything. There could be repercussions from drinking water. It could, I could choke on it. There could be a repercussion. So I pushed a little bit further and I got some more information from other people who were a little more forthcoming in the why behind it. And then it was like, okay, yeah, what you're saying makes sense. I understand it now. I'll do it this way. Now I understand the reasoning behind it. So don't be afraid to ask why. Don't be afraid if it irritates people, because especially if you're doing it online, it's really hard to get across your tone and your inflections and the reason why you're asking it. They may think that you're being a smart aleck. They may think that you're being a know-it-all. And that's just because, if you were in person having that conversation, you were like, okay, well, why is that? Because this is what I'm seeing. Why are you saying it's different? What are you seeing? Then they would be more able to understand your motives. So just don't worry too much about that. Don't worry about making people angry. If someone's giving you an answer, they had better be willing to support the answer. So if you go out and you ask someone, should I raise a bird dog with my chickens? And they tell you the answer, don't be afraid to ask them why, because I'm pretty sure most people, and most homesteaders are nice folks, so most of them, they want to help you, they want to help new homesteaders, and they want to help each other when they're moving into different areas. So they'll tell you, well, bird dogs have been bred for many years to hunt birds, so you probably don't want them around your chickens that much. They'll be willing to give you, a complete answer, and it's no problem. Don't feel guilty about pressing people for more information if they're not giving it up front. Never be afraid to ask why. I think that's just bottom line. When you're getting information for your homestead, you're deciding how to do things, you're getting advice and information and misinformation from all different directions. Look into it further, ask the question of why, find the reasons, and then decide if the answer is valid or not, or if it applies to your situation or not. Okay, thank you for watching. Be sure to like me on Facebook, because I post over there a lot, and I'm going to be posting more videos here like I mentioned earlier, so I hope to see you around some more. Thanks for watching.